Hello, everyone. We are back again with another episode of Got Something For You. We've got another recap of Survivor 50. I am joined, as always, by the lovely Matthew and Phil. Boys, how are you doing today?
So good, Ollie. Hope you're doing well as yourself.
I'm doing great. Phil?
I'm doing fantastic. Stoked to talk about episode 5, and I think we have a fantastic guest here, so I wanna bury the lead.
I was gonna say, I love you two, but I need to get to the iconicness that is Miss Sherea Lloyd from Survivor China in the house. Sherea, how are you doing, my darling?
I am great. Thanks for having me, guys.
We are so stoked to have you. I told you this off camera, but Survivor China is my favorite season. So to have anyone from Survivor China on the podcast, I get a little bit happy.
I love that.
But Sherea, how have you been enjoying Survivor 50 so far?
Really good, actually. Every season I watch, it takes me a couple episodes to kind of get into it. And this one, of course, when you have any new school involved, they get right to it. So I am enjoying it thus far.
Yeah, we've got this amazing dynamic of old school and new school that we've wanted for ages. Matthew and Phil, how did you enjoy this episode?
I loved it. Personally, I honestly, I was not expecting it to be possibly the last episode before the merge. I'm sure we'll talk about that because it's like, is this a real merge? One of those, in recent years, Survivors merge, but not really merge sort of teasers. We'll find out. But I definitely enjoyed it. What about you, Matthew?
It feels so soon for a merge. I'm kind of like, well, this is going at the speed of light. I mean, to be honest with everyone here, this has not been my favorite season up until this point. I'm having fun, but I'm not really. I'm kind of like distracted during the episodes. I don't know. It's not really holding my attention. However, there are some gameplay aspects that I am excited to talk about. And I found that the storyline between Charlie and Rizzo this episode was incredibly compelling. I'm excited to talk about Charlie's game in particular because I have some questions.
We will get to the Charlie and Rizzo Operation Bad Blood of it all. Just a reminder. I can't speak. Just a reminder to everyone, we have got our live chat open just over there. So if you want to leave your thoughts, please do. But let's get into the episode where we have some drama right off the bat. Obviously, the Vatu tribe have just come back from tribal, and Oscar is having a little Ozzy moment. He's not taking it very well. Sherea, how did you react to this kind of opening scene? Because Ozzy was just on one. He was not having it.
Yeah, no, I understood where he was coming from. I mean, anytime that there's some type of blindside or you're not kept in the loop, you're going to be upset, right? It's like, why wasn't I brought into this? And then think about it. He's being triggered from the other season where the same thing happened to him. So he was a little bit on edge. I felt him. I understood that.
Yeah, we saw this moment where it was actually Christian who brought up he was feeling like he was Cochrane. Phil, how did you feel during this moment, especially seeing that flashback? Because didn't think we were going to get a South Pacific flashback from Christian of all people.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, as all of us, right, you get older, you feel like you've matured out of your old habits, but there are always these instances where you get a glimpse of the old someone, and I think that that's what we got here with Ozzy. We have seen so much growth from him since his last time on, but it's still Ozzy. Oscar or Ozzy, this is the guy that we have been seeing on television for years, and I think that we had, just one of those times where I don't think that he could have held it back, and I agree. I understand where he's coming from. You're being lied to by people time and time again that you think are your allies. And then on top of that, you really don't even have the numbers and the bargaining power to make a full difference. So what else do you do but stand there and say, hey, look, stop it, guys. It's frustration coming out. Classic Ozzy.
Yeah.
Something I really did enjoy about Ozzy's meltdown here is the fact that he did recognize that at least Emily tried to warn him that something else was happening. And I was like, I like that he had that perspective over that situation because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He is able to kind of the next morning have this meditation. I'm not going to lie to you all. It gave me kind of coach vibes. I don't know why.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was like, I love that they're having a feud, but then he has like a coach moment where he's sitting there. I mean, amazing cinematography. There we go. That's the word. I'm deciding to use really long words today for some reason. But what did we all think of this moment? Because we see him have this moment. We see him reflecting and saying that he doesn't want it to be the old him again. Matthew, you're giving a face.
I mean, it was a pretty typical moment of reflection. You know, I don't think there's anything special about this instance in particular that's really worth a full-on discussion about. However, I think Phil made a really great point just before in response to the last moment, which is like kind of reverting back to old habits. And like almost like when you go to like a high school reunion or something and you suddenly start behaving in a similar manner and you're like, oh, I don't know this person anymore. I think I like that Ozzy is taking this time to kind of self-reflect and do whatever. But to be honest, with the rest of the strategy in this episode, I don't know how much change there really was in terms of how he's playing, other than this moment of, I know I need to cool down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sherea, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you know, when you're out there, hindsight is not the same hindsight 2020, right? When you're like in regular world. So you go out there with this perception of like, I want to play the game like this or differently than I played before. And I feel like that's probably the moment that he's having now. And you do see a completely different Ozzy than you've seen probably in past seasons, right? And so that's probably what that is. It's like, oh, maybe I didn't understand what was really trying to happen. Emily was trying to tell me what was going on, but I completely missed it because, you know, it's just not the same when you're out there. And so he's definitely probably just having that, you know, reflection moment, like, all right, got to bring it back together, right? You know, I gave him a piece of my mind, and now let me pull it back together. And so you find yourself having those moments because time is so precious out there, and you really have to kind of maneuver so quickly. Like, now how am I gonna recover from this?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he does want to recover, but he wants to recover by going after Christian. So this feels very much he wants to be Oscar, and apparently Oscar is get revenge as soon as possible. Phil, what did you think about this moment?
I mean, honestly, I feel like this was a great moment for me to see. Again, it's sort of that old school versus new school, right? These two coming together, and I think that it was a nice moment for Ozzy to have, where he's clicking up with Stephanie, who has also been quite out the know on this tribe. And I think that they were able to connect on this and, you know, sort of land on a mutual, hey, this is the person that's got us so turned around time after time. It's Christian, you know, and I again, you know, think we're not able to do anything about it this episode. And I don't think that they really had the power to do anything. And maybe if they did, I don't think that they had the strategy ready to pull a trigger. But I do think that I'm sure that this was helpful for the both of them to have this conversation finally, to be like, this is the root of a lot of the chaos here.
Yeah, agreed. Matthew, Sherea, do you have anything to add on before we move on?
No, good.
Yeah, Phil said it best.
Yes. We've got some comments in the chat quickly. Survivorisms, a friend of the podcast, is saying hello. And also Jay is saying, hi, China legend, Sherea.
Hey, Jay.
I did tell you, Sherea, they'll come and hype you up at some
point.
And then Randy says, R.I.P. to the Queen. I think that is alluding to who goes this episode. But let's move on to something that, you know, was really mindful. It was a really engaging, I thought, very thoughtful conversation. Farting. Sherea, I agree. We get this moment from the Sealer tribe where Devons thinks he's really integrating well, and you know he's got Jonathan's taking him under his wing, and he's getting the know-how. I need honest opinions. What did we think of this scene? Because I have thoughts, but I want to make sure that I'm not the only one feeling the same way. Sherea, go ahead.
I don't even know if this was necessary, to be honest. This is probably one of those scenes where I was like, okay, I could do something else. Like, is this a male bonding moment? And I love Devins, by the way, but it wasn't necessary at all.
I completely agree with you. Phil, what do you think?
I just want to know what editor in the booth is in charge of the episode of Christian, you know, crapping his pants, this farting here. I feel like it's the same editor, and I feel like you know, maybe let him touch less of the episode here and there. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much, you know, true, you know, conversation or discussion to be had here. But hey, I get it. It's, you know, they're on an island. I guess they have to fart. Matthew?
I hate it. So let me just tell you, I'm not a fan of potty humor, but like I understand people are, and that's okay. We can have our differences. But the fact that something like this has happened twice this season in such a short amount of time annoys the heck out of me, especially because I agree, it was unnecessary. And also, I think it's this thing of like, who is the target audience? I'm not sure I know anymore because yes, Phil. Yeah.
No, I want you to continue your thought. I saw this comment by Jay, and I think that is the biggest thing right here, right? This is literally being chosen over things like a confessional from Tiffany, who has had 2 this whole season, in my understanding, less than O'Brien, which is like embarrassing. And I think that, look, if everyone was getting their time and they really did have just extra space in the episode for this, that's one thing. But like, honestly, Tiffany on a back burner for right now. What about Angelina? This was literally her boot episode.
Thank you.
There's at least an argument to be made that, maybe Tiffany pops off in the future. Angelina is gone from this season, and they, I believe, have wasted her presence on this season. And I don't want to sound too harsh, but like that's genuinely what's happened here. Angelina is one of the greatest personalities to touch the screen, male or female, and I just feel like she was we didn't even see her this season. That's my take. I apologize. A little long.
No. Do not apologize. I'll completely get it. And trust me when I say, just wait till the tribe is posted, because I've got all the receipts. You're completely right. Because I mean, had we looked at the first slide, when we go back to the first slide, we didn't hear a single confessional about how Angelina felt about losing her best friend, Mike White. No. And we will get onto her other confessionals, because I do think there's some merit there, especially from what she's shown. But let's talk about
Can I please show? Exactly. I was just about to get there, Ollie. Thank you so much. The editors need to have more women empowerment. I think yes, and also, I mean, who's in the editing room? Like, I'd love to see. I'd love to know who is in there. First of all. But there is something wrong. I'm sure we'll get to it in a Travis post-it, but there was a lot of great discussion online about the style of editing that was happening in these last few episodes, especially this one, that we'll touch upon. I also want to shout out to Jay, who answered my question before. Jeff did say that they're making the show mainly for families and kids now, so I guess that's why. That's my whole thing, is you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's okay that Survivor is an adult show. It's one of those things when we're talking about a game of backstabbing, deception, and manipulation. It's like, how do you take that and tailor it to families? I just don't understand how.
But we need to show them farting, though. That was for the kids too. Like, it doesn't go together, like, at all.
No, but let's move on to a better conversation that we love, because I mean, we all know, anyone that watches Got Something For You knows I'm not the biggest Rizzo stan. But I'll put him on the he's friendly at this moment cast, because he goes to Dee and talks about the Billie Eilish idol, and we see them finally connect. We see these two have a conversation and they want to start working together. We have something more coming up, but just initial thoughts on how we felt about these two kind of coming together. Phil?
I absolutely love this. And for some reason, and I don't know if it's really just, to his own point, what we saw last season. He worked with women the entire way through, and they were all honestly sort of like the same, young women. It wasn't even like he was with a bunch of older women, like, Charlie had Maria, whatever. For him, it was literally, Savannah and Sophie. And I feel like Dee would have fit right in there, and it just felt like it made sense. Listening to them communicate, it was like, wow, these two feel like they were locked in from, possibly even before the game. And that's not me like alleging anything. It's just what it felt like in terms of like how simple it felt like they were getting along here. But then you have Dee, who makes a good point, which is, listen, I'm a winner. You're an unknown force. We're both targets for our own reasons, and makes it more simple.
Yeah, completely agree. Phil, Matthew, have you got anything to add?
Oh, I think that this is incredible. And it kind of felt like a natural progression, like it felt like this was going to happen at some point, especially based on how Rizzo played in his last season. And he even acknowledges that. And that's the beauty of coming back so soon when no one has been able to see how you've played before, because it worked for him then, it could probably work for him now too.
Yeah, it looks like it's working or kind of worked in this episode too. Like I must say, I was pleasantly surprised about Rizzo and just kind of coming full circle in this particular episode. And we just talked about the confessionals. See, these are the things that we need to see now or hear them talking about. There's so many other stories that are happening behind the scenes that we need to be a part of. But I liked it. I feel like it's about to get even more spicier now, with Rizzo in particular.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And Jay also adds in the chat, Sophie and Dee have the Miami connection, so it makes sense for him and Dee to be allies. Phil, when you made that comment earlier, I was like, has he looked at social media for once? Because there is some tea on that one. But let's move on to another meaningful discussion. Nicknames. Specifically, was it the Tide Walker for Coach?
Yes, he is the Tide Walker.
Yes. So Coach decides this is the time to give his allies some nicknames. Now, I know, again, we all know me. I love women more. I want to hear more from women. The only reason I will give this kind of conversation a slight pass is because we understood some dynamics here. Because Coach does go on to talk about how he's got his group of 5, Joe, Colby, Chrissy, and Genevieve. But his inner circle is Joe and Colby. And he gives them both nicknames. Sherea, would you love a nickname from Coach?
Probably not, to be honest. I just feel like nicknames in this sense are sometimes a little bit of a dig. And like, no, I'm good. And Coach is just doing a lot this season for me. But I'm okay on the nicknames.
Yeah, same. Matthew, Phil, what did you think of this scene?
Well, Dua Idol says what I was thinking was I would be Colby during this scene. I thought Colby was hilarious because it just like, oh, I'm being knighted now. Okay. It's you just kind of go with it and say thank you, Coach, and that's that.
Yeah. I just love like the deeper understanding of how deeply Coach thinks into these things, where he's like, the theming is all changed. Before it was wizards and knights, and now it's this new thing. And I'm like, wow, this is like it is deeper than just the nicknames for him. It is a truly fully thought through thing. And you know,
I'd be the one like, okay.
right. I was gonna say it either makes it better or more ridiculous for certain people, depending on your mileage. But yeah, that was interesting. I was like, wow, he's got this on a whole deeper level. What a character.
Yeah, I mean, Jay says it. He is such a character, and I'm not gonna lie. This gave me Token Tunes Coach. Like when he was like in Japanese folklore, and I was like, Coach, I was like, stop it. I was like, I don't care. But the tea is him and Dalton Ross pre-season spoke about this, and I need to double check whether Dalton gave him the name or not. So if he tries to take credit for it, we need to double check that fact first. But we have the Tide Walker, we have some Oak of the Forest, and we have Joe. Can't remember his nickname. But someone that does want to work with Coach and maybe might want a nickname is Aubry. We do see beforehand Aubry and Tiffany in the water, and we're seeing that, you know, they feel really super close. Well, Aubry tells us. We don't hear anything from Tiffany because the editors don't like her, apparently. But we then see Aubry come up to Coach and tries to expand her horizons and her allyships by going to Coach. What did we think about this? Did we think it was interesting going to Coach, or was this quite a smart move from Aubry?
Yeah. Okay. I think it was a little bit of a smart move. I will say this. I feel like Aubry, she's come in like as such a different player this season. Like, remember I said in the beginning, where like you come back and you're like, I have to play this way or whatever. She, I feel like, is doing it. She's like a different person to me this season. So I think she is much more strategic in what she's doing. And that is evidence of this conversation right here happening. Like, she's not playing Miss Nice Girl this season at all.
Not at all, Phil.
Yeah, I just gave space to make sure, you know, let someone else get in here. But at the end of the day, I don't think that this was the worst decision by Aubry at all. And again, we see sort of her thought process too. It wasn't like, oh, let me just, you know, throw spaghetti at the wall and try to make, you know, an alliance with anyone, you know, make friends with anyone here. She says, I think Coach is running this tribe. So I want to go to Coach and get close with Coach. And, whether that's true or not, we'll be finding out at some point. But certainly, I get where she's coming from. I do think that Coach has been shown to be at least, liked by everyone else that's on the tribes around him. Whether they're laughing with him, at him, they like having him around so far. And so I think that, it's not the dumbest decision for her to say, hey, let me try to saddle myself with the person that seems to have a lot of power here, because I clearly am going to need the help at some point.
She peeped the game.
Peep game.
Very true. I mean, Jay says it in the chat, actually. Is this setting up that maybe Coach and Aubry end up on the same tribe next episode and they work together? Who knows? And Gemini, a regular in our chat, says it was smart for Aubry. She clocked Coach as the head of the tribe.
Clocked it.
I mean, he is the Dragon Slayer. No. The Tide Walker. Sorry. Need to remember that. But let's move on back to Seela, where apparently early in the morning, Charlie wants to talk to Rizzo about their good friend Billy. And during this conversation, they have this moment of like, oh, who else did you tell? Rizzo's honest. He says, just you and Dee. And Charlie comes out of nowhere and says, oh, yeah, I told Jonathan. Bearing in mind, we saw nothing about this. And I feel like we would have, because it was two men talking. So they would have included it if it did happen. But what did we think of this conversation between Charlie and Rizzo at this moment? Matthew, I clocked the smirk as well.
They didn't show Charlie telling Jonathan?
No, not that I can recall.
Oh, okay. Weird. So I don't remember this episode that much.
I don't remember this part either. So I was like, wait, now I know they had beef, but I don't remember this.
I feel like it's we were so like men hating this episode that as soon as like two men came on screen, I think we all just went,
oh, I'm just glad you said it out loud. I was like, I don't remember.
I'll say it out loud.
This was where this was where Charlie's game started to really dwindle for me, because this was a very unnecessary question to ask in this moment, in this way, not subtle at all. And Rizzo caught onto it very quickly. And I think Rizzo benefited so much, obviously. But I'm very confused as to why Charlie did it in this way. Oh, and Jay provided some answer. Charlie didn't tell Jonathan about the idol, so Charlie lied to Rizzo about that. Okay, weird.
Okay. That makes more sense though now too.
Just bizarre. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Charlie was just reaching. I think he just doesn't or did not like Rizzo at all.
Yeah, as soon as he said that Maria, he didn't vote for his number one.
He was over.
In the words of Taylor Swift, now they've got bad blood. Speaking of bad blood, Rizzo does go to Dee now and starts Operation Bad Blood to get rid of Charlie. And we see them bond, and we see Rizzo reveal to Dee that he has the Callow idol, the boomerang, the Billie Eilish, Bird O'Connell boomerang, run it over their idol, whatever it's called now. But what did we think about this? Because this, to me, was where they bonded. This is where it was like Rizzo and Dee locked in.
Yeah, I mean, the power of information, right? I'm with you. I think that their first conversation, I think that they were, artificially together. But I think that with this shared on the back end, I just think that this really was the solidifying conversation, the true solidifying conversation for probably, Dee, but, the both of them, certainly. I feel like Rizzo probably thought that they were close beforehand, but, I think that definitely for Dee, this was probably something that was probably really, solidifying for her.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's your bargaining tool out there is information, right? And so that's the way that you get to somebody. And so that's what happened here, I think. So it solidified it.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, have you got anything to say before we
I also love Dee proving once again why she's an amazing winner, but also why CBS loves having her represent, because as soon as Rizzo is it's the Billie Eilish idol, without hesitation, Dee goes, oh, she's awesome. And so, no eye rolling, no laughing, just instantly into it. And I loved it. I think it is important because it has come up in our live chat. Some people would like to talk about the alleged pre-gaming that has happened, and not sure if it's going to come up in Tribe is Posted. But yeah, I don't know. I have no thoughts about it. And also I'm coming at it from a perspective of just not knowing. But to me, it's like, how much time would Rizzo have had to solidify anything with Dee before? Before the game. And also, like, I don't know. I think pre-gaming just kind of comes with these returning player seasons. And what are you going to do?
Yeah, I haven't got it on the Tribe is Posted, but again, there was a lot of alleged pre-gaming, but this cast know there's been pre-gaming. Like I've even had people that were almost on the season tell me about the pre-gaming that was going on. So it's very well known that there's pre-gaming going on, and if anyone says anything regarding it, it's not in a, like, for the contestants, it's not in a bad way. It's just they are making it known because it is very much a known fact that there were pre-games. I mean, I spoke about it last week about the Zoom Alliance, also known as Honor and Integrity. So yeah, there's all that going on, but I wouldn't be surprised if these two were able to pre-game due to, I think someone said it earlier, Sophie B, because that is the connection right there. But Dee isn't the only one that Rizzo kind of connects with, just moving on, because he connects with an icon, also known as Cirie. What did we think about this? Because I'm not going to lie, I did not have Cirie and Rizzo working together on my bingo card.
I love this. I love this so much.
Well, I love it because it's so funny and I love me some Cirie, love her. But I don't know if you guys watched her on Big Brother too, but what you notice is the pattern is people just go to her. Like she's not looking for it. She's not asking for it. It's just like her aura is just like, come and tell me your business. And I feel like that's what is happening here. And she's just like, oh, okay. But I'm going to give him a bone back too, but I don't know. I'm starting to kind of like be a fan of Rizzo's, like here, like just the way he's navigating these conversations in ways. And like she just kind of, you gravitate toward her. And so it just kind of happened naturally. And I love it.
You only have to apologize to Ollie. He's the only one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm right there with you. I think that Rizzo is freaking killing it. I mean, and I think it really goes to show, like, last season was not a fluke. This guy really is who he says he is. I think that he is like very social. It is impressive to see him go from conversation to conversation and leave in the good graces of these people. Here, folks, I've heard it talked about like Cirie, frankly, rolling her eyes, going, Riz God. Look at her now, sharing information with this kid. Yep. You hear Colby talking about how he is annoying. You see the same thing. He turns around and ends up, being like, you know what, this kid's not too bad. And I feel like we can, we can talk about how the kid is goofy. His bravado is on max, like constantly. I'm sure we will talk about it, but like the fact that they literally have a sequence of him just self-inflating his last game to these new people. It's like, what are you doing? But in a weird way, if I can be honest, I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way. I think that he's like a better Rome. Because I think that Rome also talked a lot and did a lot. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that Rome was as good at this game. And I think that Rizzo goes to show that, like, just because you talk a lot and you overyap, like, if you're good, if you are slightly more sensible, you can be just as good. I mean, you look at Tony, that man's more chaotic than ever, but he has 2 wins for a reason. It's just that slight subtlety that makes him better than every other chaos agent. I think that Rizzo is a talker. He does a lot. Way too cocky, but it works for him. And you got to give him that, There's something we're not seeing, though, about why he's sticking around or his personality, because he's definitely one of those annoying ones that you're like, okay, we got to get rid of them, right? Like you said. But something we're not seeing about him is either is really genuine, or he knows that moment to connect with somebody. We just don't see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I go Rizzo. Sure. So I'm still getting there with Rizzo. I will say this episode, I was on board. I may not be conducting the Rizzo stand train, but I'll be a passenger. And also Amy is just saying she's late to the party, but Amy, welcome as always. We love having you. Make sure to share your thoughts. We love, like, the chat is doing well tonight, so like let's keep it up.
Yes.
But moving on to the immunity challenge, where we found out only one tribe was going to win. I've got to say, I did love this challenge. I loved that there was one thing that everyone had to do. Everyone had to compete in some way. Everyone had their little hero moment. Does anyone want to quickly talk about this challenge, or should we move on?
I think
Tiffany with the ropes.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy, right?
Yeah, right. That was great. I loved it. Tiffany getting those ropes off.
Yes.
Amazing.
Do you know what? I think that's why they haven't been editing Tiffany, because they're jealous of how well she does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was iconic. I was like,
Could be
seen that. Yeah. So the big takeaway from this challenge, Tiffany iconic, release the Tiffany edit, but Tiffany is safe because Callow does end up winning immunity, so they are the only tribe that is safe, and it means that Cirie and Vatu do end up going to tribal. And we just talked about Cirie, and we're going to talk about them again, because this is where we start to see the lovely Camilla come into the frame, because Rizzo goes straight to Camilla. He knows he's got Dee, he knows he's got Cirie, so he comes to Camilla and then mentions about the Billie Eilish idol. I love the fact they've taken Boomerang out at this point. Boomerang's no longer a thing. It's just Billie Eilish idol. Thank you for that. And she has a reaction to it. I think she kind of appreciates it, and then she's kind of also like wary at the same time. I'm not gonna lie, I loved Camilla during this kind of tribal scramble. But what did everyone else think about this moment of Rizzo telling Camilla about the idols to try and get her on board?
Yeah.
I found it hilarious, to be honest. Just the Kyle story was very funny to me. And being like, it's just, again, it is quintessentially Rizzo. I'll be honest, I'm charmed by this kid. Like, I think that he's so, like, the way that knowing that he's lying makes it hilarious. But I think that if I didn't know that he was lying, like, maybe I would have bought it. He's sitting there though, and he's like, yeah, like right before Kyle was pulled from the game, like we were so close. He came up to me. He was like, man, like, you gotta work with Camilla. What in like think about that sequence. Think about what it looks like when people get pulled from the game, right? It's usually they're told on their own, and they go up to the group of people, get to say goodbye. Like, Kyle would have had to like whisper in his ear in front of everyone for this to actually have happened. It's just so ridiculous, but it's hilarious that he, you know, sometimes the difference between a good player and a great player is just someone being insane enough to think that they can accomplish something like this. Because I think most people would never have done this because it's ridiculous. It's truly ridiculous, but look at him go.
Yeah, very true. Sherea, what did you think about this
well, the first thing I said was, here he goes again. He's found someone else. Right? And she's kind of like, okay, you know, I think, again, he's doing it. He's making his connecting moments, whatever it is, lying or telling the truth, whatever those moments are, but it's working for him and people are taking heed to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the most important part of this conversation is the fact that he also told her about the Billie Eilish idol before Charlie had a chance to. And that says a lot about who is going to give you information and who's holding something from you.
Yeah,
right. And I mean, if you're first, then you're the one that people are like, oh, they got to me first. Why couldn't you?
Totally.
Yeah. And I mean, we see that happen here in this conversation because Charlie's like, oh, I want to be the first one to tell Camilla. Obviously, he's not. And Camilla kind of turns around and says that Charlie's playing slow. Look, I know we're already probably going to be kicking Charlie while he's down because he's been voted out, but bless him. He got called the dumbest player. He got called slow. He's not doing well this episode in terms of how he was compared to 46. But yeah, we see Camilla not resonate with this. Do you think Charlie should have told her earlier, or at this point, do you think Charlie should have told her at all?
I think that there's just like more innovative ways that he could have used this information, right? Especially if he thinks that Rizzo might have gotten to her first. I'm imagining if he went up to her and said something like, you know, hey, Camilla, you know, Rizzo's walking around saying he's going to use this information as a bargaining chip. I'm sure he got to you already. Did he tell you about the Boomerang idol? And then she goes, you know, then it's hitting different where it's like, oh my God, he's using this to try to con me. He's talking to you about it. You somehow knew that he already told me, and he clearly had a half brain to think that did happen because he did ask her that,
Mm-hmm.
Did he get to you first? But he was coming from a different angle than he might have, than maybe he should have. And I think that he really could have thrown Rizzo under the bus having this same bit of knowledge, but instead the focus was like, am I the first one to tell you, instead of like, hey, he's weaponizing this information.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that valuable. We all know, it could have been delivered like that.
I think you're really seeing the new school versus old school-ish kind of player. I think Charlie's moving more in the old school way in this sense, right? I would have come up to her and been more frantic, like, oh my God, I've been trying to catch you to tell you this. Like, there was something that could have been added on to it to make it more believable, to seem like I tried, but he got there first,
Right.
Yeah, completely. But we are going to move on to the other tribe because at this point we get sent over to Vatu because we remember they're going tribal as well. And we see everyone wanting to target Angelina. They think it's the safe vote. It's the easy vote. Christian's been hating on her since day one and wanted her out since the dot. So now is the time to strike to get Angelina out. He does, however, go to Angelina and picture Stephanie to kind of try and throw her off. I wanted to include this slide because I think Angelina's confessional is quite telling. Because, I mean, we'll talk about it in the tribe is posted, but obviously under-edited. But you hear her actually say, the perception or what it's being shown to me is I'm in the middle. And I feel like the editors tried to do a little job here of making it seem like she was pretending like she was in the middle when she knew she wasn't. Because it just, her confessional started in a really weird way for me. But how did you feel about kind of Christian and everyone just wanting to go for Angelina? Because again, this was the first time we had a confessional from Angelina for the entire episode.
I mean, it just shows how out of the loop she is. But I think that, and I think that's sad. I mean, I guess, maybe it is just the truth, but give us more than just that. But I feel like, to your point, Ali, it was like, throw her this one confessional and that'll explain that she just didn't know what was going on here. She thought she was in the middle, sort of justifying it as a Sarah from Cagayan. We've seen it so many times when the person thinks that they're in the middle and then they end up being the one that gets voted off. And I feel like they just threw this one confessional to be like, yep, that's how that goes. I think
that's why confessionals are so important, right? And that's how you used to know who was going to be voted off, or so you thought, about the number they had. And this one just was weirdly placed, and we needed a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I do feel like they had placed it in a sense of they wanted to make it seem like she believed she was in the middle.
Yeah.
I feel like they cut off the first part of her conversation because it comes in with what I'm told is da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, to me, anyone that's a fan of the show kind of knows to look past that and go, okay, clearly she knows a bit more than we're being told. And but what I can give you all is a lovely little kind of toxic relationship between Ozzy and Christian, because Ozzy's still feeling a bit bitter from last round. Shocking. And he wants Christian's shot in the dark as a sign of trust, as a sign of you're not going to screw me over here. Christian doesn't really take that well. Question to you all. If someone asked you for their shot in the dark as a sign of trust, would you give it to them?
No.
No.
First of all, Christian is going hard this season. Okay. I want to see how this develops a little bit more here. He is really going hard. And it's always funny, people who have blindsided somebody else and then you're mad they do it to you. I'm like, Christian, you're doing come on now. But no, I wouldn't, to be honest. I always think it's a little bit like you play for yourself first and play to win. That's my mindset, right? And so I get it why people do it, because again, that is your barter, right? Information, all those things are what you use to build those relationships. But I'm playing for self first. So I would say no.
I think in this particular, very specific situation, I might humor it, because otherwise, no, absolutely not. Especially if there was no past history and someone's just like, hey, to build trust, give me your shot in the dark. I'd be like, absolutely not. Your vote will speak for itself later.
Mhm.
But here, Christian has already gotten the better of Ozzy. So now Ozzy saying, okay, moving forward, because you've said, Christian, that we can trust each other again. I need some sort of a leverage before I let another one of your votes determine if you are actually on my side or not. And here's the thing about the shot in the dark is that it takes away your vote if you decide to use it. So in this situation, if I was Christian, I'd be like, do I actually think that the votes are going to pile up on me if my name is out there? Decide if it is important for him to end up wanting to play his shot in the dark. And if it really isn't, if he would rather have his vote, it's like, why not give the shot in the dark for this one tribal? I don't know. But I wouldn't give it to Ozzy until it was like we were going to tribal, like right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you feel like he had to in this moment? Like this was like, I have to kind of build that bridge back a little bit. It's the only way to do it.
If he wanted to, if he does actually feel like he can work with Ozzy, then yes.
Well, we do find out that, Ozzy doesn't really want to work with Christian as much as he wants to, because he does go to Emily here and kind of starts pitching the fact of like, we need to look forward. We need to see how it is like me and you without Christian.
Emily.
And it ultimately kind of is like Ozzy or Oscar or Shambo are considering going for like Christian here. And Emily, being the tight-lipped, secretive person she is, goes straight away and tells Christian. Lets him know straight away. Would at this point, is it safe to say we can't trust Emily Flippin when it comes to information? Love her to pieces, but you can't tell the girl anything.
The mouth is moving.
Yeah, this is it's such a funny through line almost. And I've heard different things online. I think a lot of people are saying now, this is a lot more controlled than we're giving her credit for. She knows what she's doing here. And I guess just what I would say is, even if she knows what she's doing, there is to the outside eye, it is very man, where is she? Does she really like Ozzy? Does she actually not like Ozzy at all? And she's just acting when she is in front of his face. And if she is, Emily is an incredible pacifier. I mean, she just makes you feel like you are with her, because I really thought in that conversation where Ozzy is trying to keep it as real as possible and say, hey, Emily, I want to work with you. I honestly don't want to work with Christian, but if you are down to make this like a 2 thing, not a 3 thing, this will really, really work out. And I'm going, oh, this is going to work. This, and then she goes right to Christian. It's like, okay, wait, she had me sold,
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. Especially if she does have, more control over it than maybe it looks like, but Lordy.
I'm with you, Phil. Because especially Emily is so good. I think what you've sort of highlighted is Emily is so skilled at making the exact moment that she is in her truth. So she's fantastic at continuing on to conversations as if she's fully into something, even if she's not, or she needs that moment afterward to really think it through. But in the exact moment when you're pitching something to her, she's like, yes, absolutely. This is exactly what's right for my game and yours.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And I think she probably believes that too in the moment. And then it's something that's like, okay, no, never mind. Now I have to appease the other person and go tell them.
I mean, Dua Idol says it very well. She has Flip in her name for a reason. But obviously her telling Christian here does solidify the fact that Christian does end up giving Ozzy his shot in the dark as the sign of trust. Did we think at any moment that this was Ozzy going to kind of be like, do you know what, I'm going to be cut for it now and just get rid of Christian? Or was this kind of like the moment we were like, okay, this is the nail in the coffin for Angelina?
I did think that he might go after Christian, to be completely honest. I did.
I was hoping.
Maybe not all the way up till tribal, but I do think that, or rather, to when the votes were read. But I think that at this point, I was like, man, there's definitely a world where he does, double cross and go after Christian.
Yeah, I don't think I was sure, but I think when he did give him this, it was kind of like, okay, maybe they're going to work together, at least, for the moment, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest, I didn't realize that he gave away his shot in the dark. I'm just learning this information now. Sorry.
just a reminder, we are watching Australian Survivor, which is what Matthew is doing more so than watching 50 at the moment.
That is your excuse. You got one.
A lot. That's too much.
We've got 4 episodes a week to watch. But let's move back to Sela, because we go back to them, and Rizzo talks to Cirie, and they both exchange some very valuable information. Rizzo reveals to Cirie about his idol, and Cirie reveals to Rizzo about her extra vote. This was quite a nice moment. Again, we see these two people like really solidify something now. Do we have any major thoughts on this?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, this is this is like a later conversation, Matthew, and this is where they really are exchanging information, and this is where Cirie gives some back. And just the one thing that I do want to make sure I say, in the last slide we were talking about, Ozzy and Christian. Ozzy gave, asked for this token of trust. And I think that we all sort of agreed, I understand why Christian felt the need to do that, because he had screwed him so many times. I do think it was very important. With love, I don't think that Cirie needed to share the information that she did here. And I think that Rizzo, I think that she gave up some of her power. And look, this is a long game, and I think that it might come back because, they did end up working together here. So it clearly meant something. But I think that Rizzo is just so jazzed on working with Cirie in the first place. He had already given her so much, and I think that she probably could have gotten away with not giving her anything, not giving him anything in return here, and instead given him friendship. It could have been something a lot more, just subtle and not something so objective in the form of true information. But again, I don't think that this is like a true, shoot self in foot moment, but it definitely, I sat here and I said, oh man, that's surprising that she gave that information, because I don't feel like she needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she said she felt like she needed to, though, or if I'm not mistaken, right? He needs so much, I got to give him something. Right. So I get what you're saying, but it's like in that moment, you're like, I got to give him something. He keeps giving me this information in order to kind of, let him know this is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, but I think I disagree a little bit, Phil. I sort of feel like Cirie is the type of player, I love how she plays her game, especially we talked about how people just naturally gravitate towards her and bring her information. But I think she also rewards loyalty. I can't really think of a moment where Cirie has turned against an ally who's been locked in with her. So it's kind of those things where I think she's saying, all right, you want to play with me? I'll play with you. You brought me information and I'll give you a little bit something so that we kind of have this unwritten contract going on. And I think Cirie knows that she's been on the bottom for a lot of the votes, and she's found ways to find information. But here, this is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first time someone has really gave her something of value in order to lock something in. So with it, unless something else happens.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Ozzy, but
but they have a natural relationship separately. Yeah. But I think you make a really good point, though, and I didn't think about it like that. There's so many times when she has or is on the bottom, but see, that's part of her game, is that she knows she has to do those things because there's nothing else she has, right? So I have my loyalty, or my friendship, I'm going to give it to you. That helps her to continue to navigate, and that's why she's such a great player, because she knows how to build those relationships without doing too much.
Yeah. It's, as I call it, it's the Cirie mist. She just has this mist. She has this aura. People in the chat, Amy is saying they both seemed super delighted to have shared that info with each other. And I agree, Dua. If Rizzo screws Cirie over with this information, I will be off the train. I will. I've just gotten on the train, Rizzo. Don't make me get off of it. I will happily get off.
Cirie will get him. We don't have to worry about it.
True.
Yeah, true. And then we finish off before we get to the tribals with Rizzo bigging up his game. And this is, I will admit, I was nervous for him at this moment because he did get a bit... this is where you talked about it, Phil, his bravado. His bravado kind of came out here because he was walking around being like, yeah, Jeff asked me for 50, and I would have been like... And you actually do, you see Camilla kind of being like, he is the unknown, and he is talking about how great of a player he is. Is this something I want to deal with? So do you think that he was close? If he'd continued, it could have gone from helping to hurting him very bad.
Well, absolutely. And I'll tell you this. I think in the words of Jatia, back in two Kagayan references this episode. Can you tell us my favorite season? In the words of Jatia, I feel like eventually, right, at Tribal, they sort of took turns, spanking him in front of everybody by being like, listen, dude, you haven't even seen your season yet. Chill out, because you might be a bigger fool than you think that you looked like out there. You only know your story. Now, where they were wrong is that they don't know that he did come out very, very nicely in his edit in 49. But the whole point is they hear him talking all this about his game when he has not seen it yet. Charlie, again, is someone where it was almost the opposite. I think that the people that he was playing with did not realize how good of a game he was playing until the edit came out and they got to follow his thread. And, I think that him learning that in his own way, Rick, here, it sucks to say, I think a lot of people were overtly annoyed with Rick. He didn't choose to get such a big edit, but it happened. And everyone's saying, you don't know how your tribe mates nor the general audience and public are going to feel about you. And I really think that they each sort of said it in their own way. Obviously, Charlie having the most heavy-handed reminder during Tribal. But I think that this was the sort of setup for that payoff. And I do think that this also, I was like, man, is Rizzo going to go home? Because they're really making him seem like a cocky son of a gun out there right now. But hey, the devil, I guess. Or, I think that's where it was going for, maybe. I don't know.
Well, technically, you could argue he wasn't the devil they knew, because he was the devil they don't know at this moment. Right.
But that's the thing, is that he was giving so much information. Like, maybe was his thought. Like, let me give him something, But yeah, he gave a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Amy in the chat saying, I love this still of them. They're all paying attention and engaged, except for Rizzo's mortal enemy, Charlie.
Charlie is over it.
That's funny.
Charlie was like, he could have said everything that Charlie would have loved, and Charlie still would have been like, no, sorry, you didn't vote for your number one. And then the Gemini says, I thought it was interested that Devon's heard that Rizzo teased his idol. Well, I think Devon's did say that Savannah had mentioned it. So
yeah, but that's information that he has now. So it is pretty interesting. I agree, Gemini.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be interesting just to see, like, we keep talking about Rizzo and this personality, right? It's going to change at some point. People are going to get tired of it, I think, right? Like right now, he is the giver of information and he's friendly. And so they're like, let's use him how we can. But at some point, I think the tide may turn if he doesn't kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah. Are we going to Tribal after this? Do you remember what the next slide is? Okay, I'm going to save it for Tribal here.
Okay, well, let's go to Vatu's Tribal first, because they are the first ones that go to Tribal. And I have to ask you all a very important question. Did you prefer the impressions, or did you prefer the rap?
Impressions.
Thank you. There was a right answer, I was going to say.
The rap wasn't in it.
It was not good.
No, this moment had me. I did cackle just because it came out of nowhere. It did feel a bit more authentic from Jeffrey. But I mean, again, I feel like because we'd had the rap about 2 episodes earlier, I feel like this was just like a bit more nicer because, I mean, it was kind of funny and he was pretty spot on with Colby and Jonathan. But is there anything of note when it comes to the Tribal? Can anyone remember or have any thoughts on?
More Angelina. I wish we had more Angelina. I feel like even at her own Tribal, we did not get
anything from her.
Well, let's talk about Angelina now, because we see Angelina get voted out 4-1. She does, though, have a full circle moment. She decides to give her jacket out before she leaves, which I did love. It. If she's going to leave, she's going to leave like with a memory and leave memorable. And she's going to go, do you know what? Natalie didn't give me her jacket, but I'm going to give you my jacket. So let's just talk about Angelina for a moment. I mean, I'll quickly go first. Love Angelina. Loved her on David versus Goliath. We've all kind of said it here. I wish we saw more of her. But trust and believe we're going to see a whole lot more of her in the tribe. It's posted in just a few moments, so don't worry about that. But I just love how outspoken she is, and I would love to see her come back. I think people will sit there and be like, her story's over. But I think there's more to be said about Angelina, and I think if she came back, we would see the rebirth of Angelina that we were hoping for in this season.
Yeah. I thought it was very classy, her exit is, because no matter how you leave, it's very hard. It is hard, right? To have that torch snuffed. But it would have been nice to hear more from her. And there's so many other people too we want to hear from that we're not able to see as well, their stories. But I give it up to her. She did, as best she could. I think once her ally left though too, it was going to be hard to pull some of them, in with her.
Yeah. And I got to say, I agree with Aaron in the chat here too. Angelina is the biggest growth from her first season to her second time playing. And she didn't really get a fair shake this season. I completely agree with that assessment of what happened here. Angelina really surprised me in terms of just like who she is now. And I love seeing that growth. At the end of the day, it just seemed like people were playing at such a quick pace, and that she, unfortunately, it didn't seem like she ever found herself in a great position. I wish we heard more from her. That's obvious, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, anything before we go on?
I mean, look, I said a lot already about Angelina. Gonna be missed, underutilized. If she doesn't come back on Survivor, I hope we see her on Traitors or something.
Oh, good casting choice, Phil.
The looks that she'd do on Traitors is good as well. So let's move on to the Sealer tribe. Phil, I think you may have had something you wanted to touch on here.
Yes, I did. For a second, I was like, wait, what was it? Yes, I did. It's just, I think it's sort of, it's to what was said previously by a little bit by all of us, which is just like, the bravado from Rizzo is a lot, but I think that there is this one thing that should be remembered, and I think that this happens in sports too. And look, and I'm not the biggest, sports fan, but I do know something. People like Michael Jordan, he was so intense. He talked a lot about his own game. He was self-inflated, but he was actually good. And I think that the fact that he was able to back up his mouth, sort of justified it a little bit. Similar with Kobe. A lot of stars have this issue. They talk a lot, but then you see their game and you go, oh, you know what? Fair enough. And I think that is Rizzo's saving grace. And so I hear what we're all saying, including myself, about his mouth and how it's going to get him in trouble at some point. But I think that, the same operator delivering those brags outside of Tribal are in Tribal backing it up. And I think that he put on a performance here that really did remind me of what he did all 49. And again, it's not a fluke. This is who he is. He is a magnet. He's able to put on a show. It's true theater. And he did it again. I just think that he's a performer at Tribal. I think that at the end of the day here, you have someone like Rick, who was genuinely blindsided by him, turning to him and going, good job, man. And once again, the same guy who was, frankly, like giving him notes on how he should be behaving, because he thought that, he thought a whole different thing was going on at Tribal. But he has to give props because it really was a good play. And I think that even the way that he sat there at Tribal and confidently, put on a little bit of a show like he does, it showed that he has the skills. And I think that, it backs up everything that he says about himself, which might help him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Phil, especially because Rizzo has successfully navigated this incredibly fine line of, are people going to see him as cocky, or are people going to underestimate him and see him as sort of clownish? He could talk this big game and people might say, all right, that's just who he is, and not give him a second thought. So it is interesting, and I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, this whole Tribal was very much Rizzo centered, because it did seem at one point Jeff was just asking everyone else about Rizzo, and I was kind of like, is this just like Rizzo's goodbye at this point? But sadly, it was not. It was time to say bye-bye to Charlie. Got blindsided as anything. Our final words for Mr. Charlie.
Ooh, Charlie. I'm bummed about this one. So I've told this story before, but Kara from our podcast and I were both standing next to Charlie when the world found out that he had lost 46. And this, to me, this Charlie that I've seen on Survivor 50 has sort of felt like that Charlie ever since that moment to me. And I didn't really see him, and I love the guy. I think he's so nice. He's so kind and well-meaning. This Charlie here just kind of felt like he wasn't having any fun playing this game. And that made me sad because I think he did so well his first season. And it felt like he was so pigeonholed in order to try to create this him versus Maria storyline on a season where Maria wasn't even there. And it makes me feel sad because I think that if he just let himself go and treat this like it's a brand new season, clean slate, his story doesn't matter from the last time, I think he would have performed a lot better.
Yeah, when you come out with revenge, it's really hard because it's really hard to emulate like what you're trying to get back at somebody for, and I think that's what it is. I agree. He wasn't having fun, and it was hard to watch a little bit because I actually enjoy him and his gameplay, but it wasn't good to watch. So I actually feel sad for him, and I was blindsided. I was like, they got him out already. I think I'm like that with anybody that's like, well, not Rizzo because he just played like yesterday, but everybody else I'm just like, oh my gosh. But it just shows you how the game is moving, evolving, and changing, and you have to go out there and you got to roll with the punches. And I just don't think he was able to fully do that. So it kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a huge Charlie fan in 46, and I think that I hope he gets another shot. I'll put it that way. And, it really harkened back to like Katora and Bruce, where it was like, why in every confessional is Katora just talking about Bruce? Like, to your point, it almost got unsettling. It was like, can she like chill out? And I feel like that's how it felt with Charlie and Rizzo, where it was like, why is this all we're getting? There's no shot this is all that he's giving us. And I think that that's a big difference is that we literally saw Charlie in a whole other game. Like, this is not, there's no shot this is all he was talking about, but it's all we got. And, it felt like we didn't get to see Charlie actually do his thing. And that's a shame. And so, yeah, I hope that we get him again. I think that he is a lot of fun. And yeah, sucks. He also seemed really sad, which was like, which made it a lot.
Yes.
Like, I think it made it worse, but it also made me like him more because like, we've all talked about this. It's almost annoying when someone leaves and they're like so positive that it's like, do you even care? It is so clear that Charlie cared, even in his final words. Like, you don't see it often, but like he finished his final words. Teardrops on Charlie's Taylor Swift, yeah. But he finished his final words with his hands or his head literally in his hand. And it was like, holy crap, like, if we thought the first one was going to haunt him, like this
like, one right here.
Yeah, let's get him on quickly for his well-being.
I feel like I had the complete opposite to like you three because like Matthew and Phil both know that I was not the biggest Charlie fan on 46. I still stand by the thing that Kenzie deserved her win. Charlie was not robbed. But I will say,
everyone knows Phil and I are not saying that either. We also agree that.
No, I'm just being me. But I came into this season being like, oh, Charlie, okay, cool. But I actually prefer Charlie in this season to 46. But I do agree with all of you in the sense that like it was really sad to see him go, and I think you all made very good points in the sense of like maybe what the edit showed was not his best showing, and I wouldn't mind seeing Charlie come back. I think we could see definitely a lot more of a redemption story if Charlie played for a third time. So that would be interesting for me to watch. And it'd be like the tie, because I hated him the first time, loved him this time. So now it's like the third season. See where I actually go with him.
What about this version did you enjoy more?
It's because he failed. And Ollie is happy to watch his hand fail. I was honestly waiting to say that. I'm like, it is actually quite obvious. The reason why he likes Charlie more here is because Charlie.
Tell the truth, Ollie. Tell the truth.
Now let's move along.
This season as well because he failed. Joking. Love them really. Actually, that probably does make a lot more sense, Phil. Well done. You know my psyche better than me, apparently. But we've talked about the episode. Now let's have a quick journey over to social media with The Tribe Has Posted. Yes, we have the tribe has posted. For those of you that are new here or don't know, after the episode airs, I scour social media because I'm a nosy bugger. I look at everything because I want to know the tea that's gone on. And boy, was there tea this week. But I'll start off a bit more casual, some funnier moments. I don't know why I've started doing this thing where basically the first slide is someone that's nothing to do with the season, but because it's a celebration of Survivor, I now have it. So this first one is just Keyshawn, because he was mentioned in the new movie Send Help, which I think is slightly inspired by Survivor. I think she's a Survivor fan, gets dumped on an island, and then tries to like kill a partner or something. I don't know. I haven't watched it, but Keyshawn's mentioned, and I'm like, go on, Keyshawn, for it. And then Abby Maria just made a pun about everyone being like, he did a pun. She did a pun of Natalie. Angelina asking for Natalie's jacket, but instead it's Mike, can I have a White Lotus cameo? Then moving on to this season, we've got a couple of posts from people. We've got Tiffany showing her rope skills.
Yeah.
And then we had some funny moments with Kyle, Camilla, and I think Rizzo was there as well. But they were talking about their conversation about Kyle, and it was almost like they were talking about the dead. And Kyle does also react to the fact that he's being spoken to like he has passed away. They are all on Instagram, so I would go watch the videos and actually see their reactions because it is quite funny. Now, on to the tea. For those of you that have been living under a rock, Angelina and Charlie had their exit interviews. They actually spoke to CBS Mornings, and Angelina called out the fact that CBS have been under-editing the women. So I would go to this first post with Angelina. She talks about her first experience during David vs. Goliath and actually talks about a moment that got her cast because she had to deal with a professor that was clearly sexist, and she kept her hand up. And that was what got her cast on David versus Goliath. And she was referencing the fact that, you know, the same thing is now happening here. So she's spoken up, and the girls have agreed. We have Chrissy and Tiffany here, both talking about what's gone on. You can pause this video to actually see what's been said, but it is a lot. You've got Chrissy in an Insta story saying, I was there. The women are having great narratives, making moves you haven't seen. But this season, they are considering less compelling than farts and poop scenes. And then also Tiffany saying, me having meetings with myself to film my own confessionals on YouTube. But I do just want to say, go for it.
I have seen that, by the way, and, you know, finish watching this first and then go check it out. But Tiffany has been posting on YouTube through her own channel, sort of like her thoughts on the season thus far. I watched a couple of them. I don't believe I watched everyone, but I watched a couple, and they're really, really, really good. But she's genuinely not joking when she says this. Like, it is a shame that she has to go on YouTube and, like, put out her narrative because it is so sparse on the actual program. That's a shame.
Yeah. Because we actually find out from those YouTube videos that she was not a fan of Zac Brown and still can, to this day, not name any Zac Brown songs. And I would have loved to have seen that confessional of her, like everyone else being like so teary-eyed and Tiffany going,
who is this?
Oh, like, yeah. Like, I would have related to it because I'm like, I'm sorry, I still don't care about Zachary Brown. Like, don't care. Chicken fry, cool.
And even to like protect whatever, you know, protect the artist, protect the talent. If everyone's saying good things and then you have one person, like it's almost like a laugh line. It would be funny.
Absolutely.
Like everyone's saying like, crying great things, it touched my life. And Tiffany's like, never heard of him till today, but he's doing his thing up there. Like that, it could still be positive and just funny where she's like, I don't know who the hell this man is, but he's got a guitar and I'm happy to be staring at something other than sand. Like there's so many ways.
This is good, Bill.
I mean, come on. Maybe I should have produced her confessionals. But truly, it's like there is a way that this could have been shown and made it a funny, still light, positive moment, but also still see Tiffany be like, I don't know who the hell this artist is. That's funny. Like, it's a shame that they didn't lean into that, and instead, they're just going to write her out of the whole entire reward. Yeah. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that most of the females still on this season have also mentioned about this. Like Tiffany, Camilla, Savannah, Jenna, they've all shown Angelina some love for speaking out on this. But it's not just the women. So I have a whole slide dedicated to the men that actually showed some love as well. So that was me actually. Matthew, do you remember last week when I was talking about being a feminist? I was like, I was actually doing it this time. So we've got Christian showing some love to Tiffany, being like, I love this so much. We need more Tiffany on our television. Rizzo saying he is a girl's guy. And then this was actually me being a little bit shady, but I put all the men that actually commented on Angelina's posts. So Ozzy, Kyle, Charlie, Rizzo, Christian did as well. They all commented showing love to Angelina and all the girls, and actually empowering the fact that there needs to be more female representation on the show. So not to throw shade at anyone, but for a group of people that call themselves honor and integrity, they're really happy when they're the ones being edited and don't decide they want to speak out when other people are calling stuff out. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Don't apologize. I give Angelina a ton of credit for doing this and for voicing this. I'm sure there are pockets of people that will misconstrue what she said and take it the wrong way and just kind of point fingers back at her. So this was a huge risk to come out and say something like this, especially after being on the show twice, still sort of being under CBS's wing. Yeah. Angelina probably figures she's never going to be asked to play again. And I'm sure that also aided in her comfort in being able to voice this. And what she said is so true. And I think it's shining a huge light on the way that these episodes are being edited and just asking the question as to why that is.
Yeah, kudos to her. It reminds us, like, as far as we think we've come, there's still so many things that need to be better about editing and how people are, shown on television, for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Phil, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say just the one thing I'm thinking. Thank God there's an after show, a true live after show this season. I think that this is like one of the few times in the past handful of seasons where this can be talked about. Let's have at the live reunion, have like give this time. Let's have Jeff be like, you know what? We didn't get to show some women here. We've heard the feedback online, and we want to talk about it. And give Angelina her respect. You're right. It's tough to talk about this. You fear things like, retaliation. They're not going to want me back on the show. Even just public opinion. I think that a lot of people deeper into the game are seeing it, but Lord knows there's more casuals that outnumber the people that are more intense watchers. And who knows if they care about her perspective here. But, the fact that she's saying something, it is important. And I do, again, just hope that they use some time in the live after show, because they have it, to be like, hey, this was spoken about and this is right.
Yeah. Ooh, and I don't want to move too far past this point because we have Sherea here, which is the fact that Angelina also did say she felt like this season was being edited more like it was season 15, which I know.
Did she say that?
She did say
that.
She
did.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts as to, do you see any similarities?
So yes, and I will say, I don't know if it was my edit, but I do remember Jamie and some other people specifically talking about their edits from that season, if I recall, and how not only they were portrayed, but how the editor, the producers were kind of navigating the story for them behind the scenes. So I think she's right. That's so interesting that she says season 15, because I remember Jamie speaking about it like precisely in my head, and how the edits kind of, made changes. But I'll say this, like, this goes to the integrity of the show too, right? And so like I'm going to continue to give Angelina her kudos because there's so many things that happen behind the scenes. And think about how we just kind of broke down the show, and there were moments where we're like, well, wait, it happened like this. I thought it was this, or we need to see that in order to get the context of the show. And I think that people forget that like these are real people on TV expressing their real feelings, their real thoughts, and like you're playing with people's emotions, you know, in this. And so certain things need to be shown, and it's just not fair to give people edits that they don't deserve. I mean, I got the lazy edit. Were there moments? Yes, but that wasn't overall. And so, you know, it's not fair. And like I said before, like you think about there's so many, we think how far we've come. And it just shows you like there's so many things that still need to be kind of worked out behind the scenes. But God, that I didn't even think about that with season 15. There were a lot of, I'm gonna have to talk to Leslie about that too, because I'm sure she'll feel the same way.
Oh, that's wild.
I mean, yeah, and Sherea, you literally just said it then. You got the lazy edit. Same as this time. Angelina allegedly got the lazy edit, but I think I've kind of shown, you've not been here, but I've shown time and time again that that's not been the case, because the good thing about social media right now is we can get some more receipts.
Hello.
I do just want to quickly, because we've got a couple of good things in the chat, I just want to see. Erin is saying it's very telling which men from the show are secure enough to speak out about the edit imbalance regarding gender. Yep, because if folks are going to talk about honor and integrity, then it should just live in the confines of the game. Because I do just want to clarify, they haven't even liked the posts, because I did that deep dive. I literally typed in who liked the posts, and these are why I included these people. And I do agree. Angelina solidified being a fan favorite after this, because I love it when a strong woman calls out men. Sorry, that was just me being mean. But last thing on this is actually Chrissy and then our good friend Kostas at Survivor Fact Checker, because we call out the imbalance. Chrissy got this from All Winners Survivor, the fact that the player of the episode every single round for the first 5 weeks has been a man, and it's like mission accomplished. They clearly want the men being the edit. And Survivor Fact Checker does point out, and I just need to get the stats here, that this episode, women were under-edited by 47%, which is the lowest it's been since an episode in season 38, so Edge of Extinction. And this was apparently the fourth most kind of under-edited. So there was like only maybe 3 episodes where women were under-edited worse. So that's why I want to speak on it, because again, they need to realize that we're going to look at this. And I know we've had New Era where people have gotten, like women have gotten more of an edit, but we've been waiting for this moment. We've been waiting for season 50 for so long. So to go back to those old ways, I do feel like it's important to speak out. And that's why I do love Angelina for it. But she didn't also do that. I just want to clarify. She did also talk about her full circle moment and thanked everyone. And she does look stunning. And just to finish off, the tribe has posted in a positive way. Both Charlie and Angelina did send each other love. They have both called each other their boot bro or their boot buddy. And they clearly have formed a friendship from being voted out on the same evening. Charlie sends his love to Angelina and the other way around. He does have a separate post about Angelina saying she is a role model for all. So that's what I love about both of them. We don't have any polls this week. We normally have polls that we do. Just something was going on with X, so we don't have that this time. But that was the main tribe has posted. I mean, to be fair, I don't think we needed the polls this week because I had so much to talk about in terms of Angelina giving me everything I needed in life. But that is it for this episode. I've got something for you. Sherea, I just want to thank you again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. What's next for you? What can we see? Where can we see you? I do believe you may be going to Ron Clark next week.
I will be at Ron Clark. Yes, it's always a good time there. But I want to tell you guys, thank you so much. It's always, as an old school player, it's always so lovely when someone reaches out and they're like, "You want to come on and talk?" Yes, I do. People still know me. Who am I out here? But no, thank you guys so much. I'm definitely on Instagram, Survivor Riri. That tells you how long ago I played, because my Instagram name, it says Survivor Riri. That was before people used their like just government names on Instagram. But I'm around. I'm in Atlanta, and I hope I get to see you guys in person.
Would love that.
Them too. Probably. Might be a bit harder for me, but we'll make it work.
You never know. You know, I travel. That's what planes are for. You never know.
if you're ever in the UK, hit me up and I will come see you.
I will. But thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure.
Of course. Matthew and Phil, as always, thank you so much for joining. And thank you everyone in the live chat who came and spoke. We really appreciate it. Just a bit of housekeeping though, because this isn't the only thing we do here on Survivor Now. Next week we will have loads more content on Survivor 50. We will have week 6 of coverage, starting with our pre-show at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we get hyped for the episode. This week we're actually doing a bit of collab. We have got Christine from Bitter Jurors joining us on the pre-show, and then we have the after show immediately following that recaps, and that is Josh, Abraham from season 41, Bruce from 44 and 45, and Avery. They will give their honest, candid thoughts on what happened during that crazy 17-person merge that we don't know what's going to go on. And then you have Survivor Social on Thursdays at 8 p.m. They break down all the social elements. Stockwatch on Fridays at 1 that do the power rankings and look a bit more at the edit. And then join us again here on Sundays for Got Something For You at 5 p.m. Next week, we will have a regular coming back to join us. Josh from season 44 will be back to talk about episode 6. We love Josh here at Got Something For You. He is literally, he is our regular. And just a reminder, we do have Survivor AU coverage. Myself, Matthew, and Cara recap all the episodes. And this one over here does an amazing job when it comes to the exit interviews. So make sure you're watching. Please subscribe to the channel so you can see more and get notified for when we go live. But thank you, everyone. We will see you on the next one very soon. Have a good rest of your evening.